really get things on board with all the researchers at Qatar University and make things close in understanding what the IRB is doing and what are our responsibilities, what are their responsibilities. So if you don't mind, I hope my voice is clear to everyone.
Yes, the voice is clear.
Great. So I will share screen now so that we can start our presentation.
Okay.
Everybody can see my screen?
Yes, Dr. Amar.
Okay. So basically today, I just want to present the view of the institutional board or the IRB on how we process our revision. What is IRB? Why IRB? And how we can really assess the applications. The most important thing here that I would like to have as a conclusion from this session, that you understand that we are always in the side of the researchers as well as the human subjects. This is the take-home message that I want to say even before I start my presentation. So what I would like to cover today, I'm going to give you an overview of the IRB, steps to prepare IRB application, the review process, type of research and reviews, which are exempt versus expedite versus full review. So why IRB? What is the idea of the IRB came from? Let me walk you through the history. Back in 1940s, during the World War II, the Nazis did some human experimentation to do some medical experiments on a large number of prisoners, including children. And from the names that you can see here, you can imagine how fatal and inhumanity with this kind of experiments, which is called head injury experiments, experiments in twins, malaria experiments, freezing experiments, electric shock experiments, immunization experiments, blood coagulation experiments, bone muscle nerve transplantation experiments, without any kind of ethics to the human subjects. This is really was a trigger to the whole entire world that they work in it for several years to take a decision that we have to take a stop here and look what we should do to protect human subjects from this kind of actions from humans against humans. So it was starting with 1964 with the Declaration of Helsinki, and then in 1974 in National Research Act, where the IRB established, till we came in 1979 with the Belmont Report, which for anyone who is doing research ethics or know IRB, he should pass through this and know very well about Belmont Report, which has the main three ethical principles: that respect for person, justice, and beneficence. So looking here about those three, please be reminded all the time about them, which I'm going to simplify them into three other words, okay, which is basically I'm going to mention later. But please remember this: respect, justice, benefit, and it's all should be balanced, by the way. Excellent. So what is an IRB? IRB is an abbreviation for Institutional Review Board, or what's known by Human Research Ethics Committee. So in some places, you're going to find that it has this kind of. So the purpose of the IRB is to ensure that any research involving human subjects, and I want to highlight this, guys. See what I'm saying? Any research involving human subject, because I'm going to say it again later, is conducted in the right way that ensures those three parameters: the protection, safety, and welfare of the human subjects, which is basically aligned with this respect, justice, and benefit. So this what is the IRB all around, to ensure that any research that is doing involving human subject has this kind of three things for those human subjects: protection, safety, and welfare. So what about the research benefits? Any researcher would say, okay, so you only care about the human subjects without looking at the benefits of the research coming out from? No, absolutely not. We also look at the research benefits. I'm a researcher and I'm doing research, including human subjects. From my title, you know, cystic fibrosis is a very big dilemma in several parts of the world. However, it's considered to be not very high numbers in some places, but it's human subjects. So I'm a researcher who's doing research directly on human subjects. So as an IRB, when I wear the IRB hat, I have to assess the potential risk versus the benefits that are going to come out, or the outcome of these benefits is going to come from the research study. How much risk these human subjects will be subjected to, okay, and how much benefit he's going to gain. And this is the job of the IRB, to decide whether the anticipated benefits from a research study are well justified. See, this is very, very clear to be said, are well justified to ask the subject to undertake these risks. Not only that, how the researcher will help the subject to decrease those risks, how the researcher will work on minimizing the risk. So it's all about the balance. It's the risks versus benefits, which is more than the other, okay? And then the IRB will decide. So this is, you have to put it in mind always, guys, when you are applying for your application, put yourself in the foot of the IRB member that he will look at the risk versus benefits. Let's take an example, guys. Before the example, let me move on to how we assess the risk for risk versus benefits. So we look basically on the population. We look at the age, we look at the size. We're going to talk about vulnerable subjects. Vulnerable subjects are those like we're dealing with children, pregnant women, prisoners. All these are considered in the Bellman report as vulnerable subjects. We have to put in mind here, this is during the assessment. We look also at the consent form, how it's written, and how much you are giving information to this human subject and clarity about what's going to happen. And I'm going to give you an example for that now. Confidentiality, very important. This human subject has to make sure that his data and his what you're going to do with him is not really available for everyone to know. He needs to make sure that it's confidential information. Safety concerns, is it safe or not? Quick example, an experiment that needs to be done, for example, on the effect of stress on the heart. So they make like a treadmill run test, okay? So is this gonna be safe for the human subjects? Oh, this is a concern because there are many parameters that has to be done here. So what is the extreme and what is the minimum, what is the maximum of this treadmill that is going to be used, how are you going to do this exercise, how it's going to be put, to make sure that those patients or those subjects that you're putting under these stress conditions are safe. And not at the end of the day, it's going to lead to death or failure in the heart or whatever. Then you have to be very clear about what's happening here. Psychological effect. Is this your study that you're doing in terms of questionnaire or survey or questions that you're going to ask to this subject is going to affect him psychologically? Is it going to be a very sensitive question that can create problems in the family or within the human subject himself? This is going to give me into this very sensitive part of the cultural religion related subject, which we have a lot of discussions about it here, guys. Because when we talk about the cultural religion related subjects here, we are in an Islamic country, we are in an Eastern country, Middle Eastern country, we have our own beliefs, our own cultural events, which is completely different than the Europe and America. So we have to put that in mind, and I'm gonna touch on this later, inshallah. So these are the parameters here that we assess. So put in mind that not all the applications have complications. Some applications are very simple to the point with no risk. And we're gonna talk about that later, but others are not. So we have to put this kind of rules that we have to go through to make sure that we're covering the essential parts. Let me walk you through this in example. You assess yourself. Consider yourself now that you are an IRB member, and please assess this application, which I'm going to give you a hint about it. An application, the objective test is to affect a drug in treating thyroid cancer. Great. That's a great objective, and hopefully you're going to get a great benefit from it. But let's see the rest. In the consent form, the applicant must try. What is he is expecting as side effects from this drug. So as you read here from this consent form, it says, it's stated that the human subject may experience the following side effects. Look at the following side effects: vomiting, difficulty breathing, increased heartbeats, dizziness, difficulty moving, pain in joints, mouth sores, ringing in ears, and there may be more side effects that we do not know about this drug because we don't know how much it has as a side effect. All this is written to the human subject when he's signing this consent form, which is going to explain it later. So this means that you really elaborate about it. And not only this, he is also telling the human subject, you may not get the experimental treatment, but a standard treatment or placebo. So this is a really blind one. And the experimental treatment that you're going to take may not be better or even as good as the standard treatment for your condition. So as an IRB member, I have to sit down here and remember this: risks versus benefits. And I have to decide according to the application. This is a part of an application, okay? But I have a full application. That's why we always ask you about many questions, several clarifications sometimes, because we need to make sure that the human subject is safe and you are delivering from him the best benefit and you are doing the best research for yourself. It will be very fair for everyone. I hope that this is a very clear message for you guys. So, as an IRB committee at Qatar University, we're covering all the activities that are conducted by researchers at all institutes and colleges within the university, which has to deal with human ethics. And our IRB committee is composed of a number of members, which is reaching up to 13, which are including scientists, non-scientists, and also community members. And maybe Dr. Sandy can elaborate on that when she do her presentations. So if you notice here, the first word I'm putting here as an IRB committee role, assist. Assist whom? Assist you as researchers to analyze the potential risk involved to the research participant. I just want to make sure that you know the risk. Okay, very good. And I will help you and guide you. How can we minimize this potential risk? We are not really here in a kind of, I'm opposing your research. No, I am helping your research for the benefit of the human subjects and their, again, fairness and fairness and protection, and for your research to come out in the best way. So we need to make, again, the balance. So assist the researcher, guide the researchers. So after that, we do the revision, review, approve, disapprove research applications. This is subjected everywhere in any IRB in the world, involving human subjects or any aspects related to them, which are specimen, data, information, and so forth and so on. We need also to ensure that the research is conducted in the right way, which ensures, again, what I've mentioned: protection, safety, welfare of the human subjects, to keep this balance of the respect, justice, and benefits. So I think I spent some time here giving an overview about the IRB. Now let's walk in about what are the steps needed to prepare your IRB application. First, my advice to you is to consult with your supervisors, peers, or with the IRB itself to check if you need an IRB approval for your research or not. Usually, my advice is to go to the IRB office and check with them. And I will insist on this in my coming slides. Your supervisors, peers, experienced people also help you to understand what is the position of your application. And in my college here, this is my job, by the way. I help my peers here, my colleagues in the College of Medicine or even in the College of Dentistry, to guide them about their research application. But the rule of thumb is, put in mind, any research involving human subjects, you need to go back to the IRB office. You need to go see what's happening here. You need an IRB approval. Interviews, contact with the human subjects, intervention with specific groups, analyzing human subjects data. Please come back to us and see what kind of approval you will need. And we're going to discuss the types of revisions or approvals. Okay, this is important. Be sure to complete the required human subject training before submitting to the IRB. Any key investigator here should be completing what's called by the CT program. And by the way, guys, this is a requirement from the Ministry of Public Health. Is it really implemented now at the Qatar University IRB? Not yet. Would it be? Yes, it's very possible. And very soon, because it's a requirement for the Ministry of Public Health. Let me show you another face of the IRB that no one think about it. And I have to say it. How much a pressure the IRB office, members, chair, vice chairs, having, okay, because they always have an audit from the Ministry of Public Health to make sure that their applications are correct, to make sure that they are following the rules. So if we are too lenient and if we don't follow the rules, we will be having a problem. And if we have a problem at the end of the day, you know what might happen? They might ask to close the IRB office because we're not following the rules. And then you will be in a problem because you need an IRB. You will need an IRB. Then you will search for a place to take an IRB. So we have to do our job correct. So that's why if this CT program or CT certificate is being asked to be implemented, we have to follow again the rules. I'm trying to really show you all the faces here to know what's happening, that you might be imagining what's on here in the back of these scenes. So again, in order not to confuse anyone, this is not implemented yet. Inshallah, it might be implemented soon. It is not a big deal. It's not sophisticated. And also, we're going to guide you how to do it. Okay, write your proposal summary and highlight to the committee the most important statement that is relevant to the human subject. That's my advice to you. Please be clear to us. Help us to understand what is your study about. Don't be stingy with us in the information. We need to know information, but don't also go, we need to read a dissertation. Okay, but we need to read the most important part of your proposal, objectives, what you're going to do, how you're going to do your experiments, what is very important for you to highlight about the human subject it's related to. Okay, don't underestimate the size, the age, the numbers. Those are important factors. And I will tell you why. Fill all the required forms it required. And if now, thankfully for the IRB office, we have launched the IRB net. And I think there's been an awareness session for the IRB net. So now you should know how to log in, how do you to apply for the application, and the required forms are there. Please make sure to fulfill all these documents that's needed. There is something also that is very important that I need to stress on, the informed consent form. There are some studies, no need for informed consent form, where there's no interaction with the human subjects. So I don't have any kind of direct interaction with human subjects. I'm not interviewing, I'm not questionnating, I'm not taking samples. So no need for informed consent form. However, for those that there are direct interaction, there must be an informed consent form. And this informed consent form, okay, must be signed by the human subjects. And it should be detailed. And I'm going to give you an example for that. Please bear in mind, we are in Qatar, in an Arabic-speaking language country. Okay, so you must have an Arabic translation, which is comparable exactly to the English translation for the consent form. If you don't see that you're involving any Arabic-speaking language participant, please write that in the exclusion criteria. I'm excluding any Arabic-speaking language, or non-English-speaking language only are included in this study. The English-speaking language only is included in this study. But please, it's very important, put that in mind. To help you more, we are currently preparing in our office templates for this consent form, okay, in Arabic and in English, for medical and inshallah also for the non-medical, to help you to have a template that you can use. It's not mandatory that you use this template, but you have something that you can guide you to move on for this kind of consent forms. If you have a survey and questionnaire, please prepare it very well and also follow the same guideline for the Arabic and the English part. Make sure that you sign all the required forms. This is very important, and submit your application via IRBNet. Okay, let's take an example of an informed consent form. This is an informed consent form of an age above 18. And from now, I'm going to tell you guys something very important, which I'm going to say later. Having an age above 18 participant is way much easier for your application than the age below 18. It doesn't mean that you don't work with the age below 18. What if I am someone who's working with ASD before, autism spectrum disorder? I have to work with children below 18 years old. My study is like that. Halas, it's fine. But if in cases that you don't need to involve your studies, okay, in anything which is age below 18, and I'm going to explain that why later, okay, that would be age easier. Because when you go below 18, you're going to full board right away. This is another review part. And that's why when you are doing any work here at Qatar University for students, make sure that you see that we only including students above 18, because you might have some students who's below 18. Okay, so let's see what is the informed consent form composed of in this example that I'm going to give you. It has an introduction, and this introduction here is telling you, we invite you to take a part of research study, which is called blah, 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 blah. And then you are selected to do in this. So you explain to the participant what this study is. Then, what is the purpose of this study? See, objective. The human subject should know why he's participating here. I'm doing this experiment, for example, on autism spectrum disorder to really look at the genetics differences between different participants. So you need to understand that. In simple words, I'm going to say that later. What all should you know about the research study? Anything you need to add, which is very important, and you highlight it, please do it. Who is in charge in this study? The participant has to know that I am the one who's charging this study. If there is any problem, he has to contact me, okay? And that the Qatar University, for example, this study is being done at Qatar University or with in collaboration with Hamad, and it's applicable for XYZ and so forth and so on. Who cannot participate in this study? Which is basically the exclusion criteria. You can write it here, inclusion or exclusion criteria. This is a template, this is a sample, which also we can modify. What if I'm presently participating in another study? You will tell him, if you have another study you are participating in, you can be here or not. It all depends on your study that you are doing. How many people will take part in the study? The size, the number of the people. This human subject should know how many people is there. And what is the importance of the size? It has to be doing with the outcome and the benefit. The smaller the numbers, it might be the outcome will not be really like efficient as the higher the number. This is number one. Number two, psychologically, this participant will feel that there are many others participating in the study, not only him or other two. So it makes a big difference in how the perception will be there. What happens if I agree to be in this study? If you agree in this study, then you explain to him, okay, what's going to happen, what is the study about? It might be a double-blinded study, like this example that I'm going to give you about the drug before, so forth and so on. You will not know what group you are in. This is again what is happening here in the study. This is the same form. If you move in here, how long will I be in the study? The time of the participation. If you are withdrawing blood from this patient, how you have to say how many mils of blood you're going to be taking. How many minutes will be spending in taking this blood? And what are the risks and side effects of this study? Remember this example that I gave. Please enumerate that. Please be very clear about this. Are there any benefits? Is going to take any benefits from the study? Usually, all the study, there is no payments in this kind of study. Some studies have payments, and this is another dilemma. But I mean, here you're going to say, okay, there is no direct benefit that you're going to get, but the outcome that you're going to have from these studies or the research studies will help the researchers to find the drug or so forth and so on. What other options are there that I have? And you can enumerate. I mean, and that's what I mean here by voluntary this should be written in that way. Your participation is completely voluntary. You can participate in the study at any, you can withdraw from the study at any time. I mean, your data, you can remove your data at any time you want, of course, as you know. What about confidentiality? And if anyone applied here for the IRB, know about the confidentiality statement that we always say, that this is going to be confidential. It will be kept in the secured computers with a password or in a cabinet, so forth and so on. All these kind of confidentiality statements that we can give you in the template that you can use to make sure that you are having it over there. And finally, for sure, this is going to be a signature, okay, that you're going to have at the end for these participants to sign. So for the consent forms, please make sure of the following: that use simple language the participant would understand. Put in mind, those are not the scientific people. Those are people who is laymen. They don't understand the language that we talk about in science, very sophisticated. Be very simple as far as you can for them to understand what this research is about. Explain in details the purpose of the objective of the study, so the participant knows what will happen to him in the study. What is his role or her role in the study? Please indicate the age of participants. It's very important because the participant need to know. I mean, I'm 17 years old. I'm going to participate or not? If you said that it's only for this age is indicating from 18 to 45, so he knows or she knows that this is only for this group of people. Exclusion and inclusion criteria, please clearly identify them. The number of human subjects of participating study, and I said, I mentioned that before, how long the participant will spend the study, as indicated above. Confirm that the participation is voluntary, it's very important. Risks and benefits, this is very important to indicate as well. Confidentiality, that is important. What will be done with this data in the future? You have to indicate to this human subject exactly what will be done in the future with the data. Are you going to use them again in another study? Or it's not going to be used? Or it's going to be kept there for 5 years and then moved? He has to know what's going to happen with the data. He has to know that this data is very confidential. Okay? Something also very important. We usually always tick boxes in the informed consent form saying, yes, I agree or not agree. For instance, if you're going to do voice recording or video recording, okay, you should have a statement for the participant explaining that we're going to do the voice recording. This is for the purpose of X, Y, Z. Please indicate agree or not agree. Very important. Video recording is the same. And you have to explain to the participant why voice recording is done, why video recording is done, because it's very sensitive. Now we are identifying the samples. You're identifying the human subjects. This is an identification either by voice or either by face. So it's very important for them to know that they're going to be identified and they agree on this identification. This is also for your safety as a researcher. So no one can come and say, okay, no, I didn't say that, I didn't agree on that. No, you had agreed and you have signed. Please include the Arabic form, which is exactly matching the English one. Please don't forget that. And if there is no English speaking participant, please include this in the inclusion-exclusion criteria. I hope that I have covered everything that I collected in my mind in terms of the informed consent form. And usually, when we do the revision, okay, we get back to you to remind you with things. It's no harm in this. We need to be collaborative with each other. And again, I'm repeating myself again, we're going to have a template, which is inshallah going to be very clear for you guys, that will help you as a guideline for all the needed parts and essential parts for the informed consent form. However, in some cases, in some application, we might ask you to clarify some stuff. No harm in this, guys. Okay, this is another type of consent form, which is called assent form, and usually those are for the age 7 and above, that the students or the children at that age, they can sign an assent form, but it has also to be combined with what's called the parent form acceptance. Okay, this is another model that we can have also for you guys that can clarify this part. I just put this as an example for the questionnaire and survey. Very simple form, okay, for the questionnaire and survey, which is giving an idea about what she's doing. Okay, this is an introduction for the questionnaire and survey. It's not the consent form. Consent form might be more detailed, but this is an introduction talking about what we are doing here in the in this research study, how many minutes it's going to take you to finish this research study. See, this is very important. You need to tell you that everything will be confidential. See, if you choose to participate in the study, please answer all the questions as honestly as possible. Please complete the questionnaire into the sealed box designated in the completed survey. Please put in mind, if you're doing online questionnaire or survey, there should be also a click by an agree, and that make sure that the IP address will not be identified. You have to write that in the consent form as well. Can you see here? Participation is strictly voluntary, and you may withdraw at any time. And the data collected will provide useful information regarding sustainable development and the prior knowledge to green building users. That's an example. And the explanation or the translation in Arabic is over there right away in the other side. This is a way that you can do it in there. But in this way, you give the participant a summary of the most essential parts, which are there also for his participation. This is a simple form because it's a simple questionnaire. Again, this is a consent form that I'm talking about. Another way for the consent form to have it, see, it has a description, risks, right to withdrawal, confidentiality, cost and payment, and signatures. Again, all these kind of examples we're going to try to have to you so that you can use it over there without any confusions and with simple format, Arabic and English. Another one here for a questionnaire. See, for example, here a questionnaire. This is another. We use the consent forms. This is a type of questionnaire asking about how many years of experience, how long you've been involved in XYZ, where you're from. All these are very simple questions, which has no problem. Okay, but if we come here and ask, what is your income? And you put ranges. So why you're asking about the income? This is a very confidential thing for the human subjects that it might be he doesn't like to have. So you have to justify to the committee why you are using the income. Give me a good certification scientifically, no problem. If you're asking about the religion, why? If you are asking about the how he deals with other religions, for example, why? So there are some questions here which, as you can see, has to do with the confidentiality or sensitivity with the human subject that you have to clarify or justify to us as a committee why you are asking these questions. Once you provide me with the answer, which is scientifically sound, I will put it in my file and you're good to go. No harm in this. See, this is what I'm trying to simplify to you. When we ask questions, when we ask for clarification, it's not to oppose your study, it's to help to minimize the risk, as I said in the beginning. I hope this is clear. So please don't forget the following. And this is not everything. This is the most highlighted things that I like you not to forget. Research plan, so that I know what you're doing. And be generous, but not too much detail. Okay, but give me the most important thing that I need to. When I say too much, not too much details, I don't need to see a dissertation. Okay, but I need to see a research plan. Okay, put in mind that you're putting research plans everywhere. So I need a research plan, objectives, hypothesis. I need to see some explanation about what you're going to do, or explanation about do experiment. Anything involving the human subjects has to be very clear to us. Consent form, again, in Arabic and English. I said it many times. Questionnaire survey, again, if applicable in some studies, Arabic and English. Okay, the next one is important, if it's applicable. Next 2 points. Let's say that you are doing some collaboration with the HMC or QI or Hamad bin Khalifa University or XYZ Institute. And this institute, like Hamad, is doing all the work with the human subjects over there, collecting the blood, doing all that. And already they have an IRB approval with the same title that you have. This is a very simple way to do work. Please give me the IRB approval from Hamad, because I must give you the approval after you give me the IRB approval from Hamad. It's no question about that. You must have that. Okay? And this will ease you all the process because you already have an IRB approval. So it will ease all the process for you. Okay? If your study doesn't require this, khalas, no problem. What else? IBC approval. This is the Biosafety Committee approval. that you have here at Qatar University. So are you doing some work in the lab? You're going to do access for samples in the lab. You're going to do all this work here. You have also to have biosafety approval. If this is biohazards, if this is radioactive, whatever you're going to do that. I need this IBC approval to give you the IRB approval. However, in some cases, if you ask me, please give me an approval to help me to fast my process for those other approvals to go, so like HMC will not give me an approval now, except when you give me an approval. I will tell you, okay, I will give you a conditional approval. If everything is okay, we can give you a conditional approval. So you can take it to HMC, tell them, okay, here QUIRB is preliminary approving my study, but I will not be able to start the study except when I get the approval from you guys. But this is to tell you that they have no objection. See, this is what's called conditional approval, and it's very clear. IBC approval, please always provide. It's very important for us. And the seed certificate that I mentioned before, which might be applied later, is one of the requirements. So I'm done with the overview, steps to prepare, review process. Now I'm going to go to the review process quickly because Sandy might also going to touch base on this. So the screening process here is to check if you fulfill all the required documents. If any documents is missing or incomplete, you will be asked to complete your application before the reviewing the contents that you have. Once complete, your application will be sent to either exempt, expedite, or full board, which I'm going to talk in the last few minutes in my talk. After the review process, you will either receive an approval letter or you will be asked to fulfill some requirements by the committee. And please be helpful in this with us when you ask you some questions or clarification. Once you have your approval letter, right away, date and stamps, you can start your research work. No researcher can start any research study unless they got the approval from the IRB. Please put that in mind. We do not give any retrospective approvals. So you need to apply for IRB. Don't start your research except when you have the approval. If your study is approved, pending, or deferred, you need to make the requested changes and submit the changes to the IRB for review. And any changes, please put that in mind. Any changes that you're going to make, any changes, even if you added a PI, remove the PI. Okay, you added a small objective, you added something to the your application, you have to notify the IRB and apply an amendment. For example, you changed the title. There was a mistake in the title. You have to apply for an amendment. Tell us why you're doing this and explain that there is no changes have been occurred for the application except this, and then we're gonna move it forward for you. But you have to please notify us. For all approvals with 1 year, if you get an approval for 1 year, which is expedite, for example, for board, you will continue your study as required. And and if you want to continue your study, please, you have to submit an annual continuation form stating that no changes. From our side, it's very hard to us to remind every single one that his application is, his approval letter is almost expired. So please notify yourself or put a note for yourself if you're going to continue the study that you need to apply for a renewal of this. And this is also very straightforward. Okay, so these were the steps and the review process. The last part of my talk be talking about the types of review process. And again, I'm reminding you that all the types of review process will be standing on those protection, safety, welfare of human subjects, concerning the respect, justice, and benefit, and supporting research as well, to make the balance between risks and benefits. I'm repeating again, this very, very important. So the first type is the exempt review, and this is the easiest one, and which makes everyone happy, committee and researchers. And the committee review here is not required for certain categories of research activities that involve little or no risk human subjects. If there is little or no risk at human subjects at all, that's fine. So you're collecting some data, okay? Nice, no problem, okay? You're having a questionnaire, which, or a survey, I'm sorry, survey collecting about, but not dealing with any human subjects. For example, there is, or even with dealing with human subjects, but it is kind of no risk or harm on them at all. خلاص. يبقى easy and going on exempt. And I'm going to give you some examples about that. So, but to determine if your research qualifies to exemption from formal committee, you have to send the IRB to ask about that. We are trying to prepare a determination checklist so that you can tell us, okay, if this is in your hand, you can say, okay, yes, this is, I can tell you this is an exempt. but we'll need from you some information to help us for this kind of exam process. Please put in mind, it's not your decision. It's the IRB who make the determination of this exempt. Okay, you can consult us. You can send us telling us, okay, what do you think about that? I think I qualify to exempt. Fine, you have to say, express that you can qualify. I have no problem with this. We have no problem with this. But at the end of the day, we are as a committee who decide if this is exempt or not. Okay, to make it simple, if your samples is coded, unidentified, okay, this is make life very easy. So the data or the specimen identifiable are non-identifiable, okay, nobody knows them, and this is make it like, and no direct contact with the human subjects here. This is one form. So we're getting samples which are unidentified, coded, and no dealing with the human subjects. And you're gonna do simple experiments, for example, for people who is doing medical work. For example, you're doing some PCR, you're doing some proteomics work, some analysis. This is very simple, okay? So this should be lying in this kind of exempt form. Public data, existing data, documents, records collection, all this right there. Regular educational strategies. Anonymous surveys, anonymous, so non-identified. So the word non-identified is important. No audio recordings, no video recordings. All the determination of whether research involving coded private information or biological specimen is considered to be human subject research, okay, must be made by the IRB, not the investigator. Again, I'm repeating myself. This is again considered to be human subject research, but it can be light in the exempt review process. Okay, those are, for example, some summary or some examples quickly about this kind of application that can be lying in this process. If an application, for example, a study involves secondary data from Qatar Biobank, and we got an approval from Qatar Biobank, easy, exempt. Okay, because we have this data there is no risk, no harm or no harm on the subject, and you have approval from QPP. Same thing from HMC, again, and you have an approval from HMC, you're getting secondary data. You're involving collection data, anonymous, unidentified. And remember, these data that I'm talking about are unidentified, coded, and so forth and so on here. Some semi-structured interviews for the collections of the data here also might be falling in this category. And if you notice here, there is a type of reviews here, but I didn't really include it in this presentation, which is called exempt category 3, category 1, category 4, category 6, and 7. This is we follow the categories which is internationally known, okay, that is that your application lies on, okay. That, for example, this is collecting data, collecting some samples with non-invasive procedure, but I mean, or some sorry, this is going to be expedited. Anyways, so some categories that explain where your application lies on. So this was the exempt review, which is simple to the point, and this is really doesn't take time, inshallah. Yani once you apply for the application, it goes there, it has been to be screened, look if you fulfill all the requirements. If yes, you can take the approval within few days, according to the revision. Okay, what about the expedite review? This is a higher level. Now we are talking about little or no risk, but now we are moving up to no more than minimal risk on human subjects, above a little bit. Okay. Okay, I need to speed up. So there is no need here for full board, a designated member and chair that can take the decision, but it has to be revised. This is, for example, studies involving collection of hair, saliva, or dental plaque samples, blood samples from healthy volunteers, collection of data through non-invasive procedures, analysis of voice recordings, studies of existing pathological specimens with patient identifiers. Look, patient identifiers. Once you started to identify patients here, it goes to another category. If this was pathological specimen, non-identified, exempt. See the difference? Right away. Continuing reviewing of research previously approved. You have a research which is approved before, and you want to continue this kind of research with another additional topics. We have to review it in another way. The final decision, again, lies in the hands of the IRB. For review, this is a full board committee, higher level, more than minimum risk. What is the more than minimum risk? Anything involving vulnerable subjects, children, pregnant women, prisoners, those are, which is age 18 or below when I say children. So this is more than minimal risk. There might be a minimal risk or risk here that's being created over those subjects. Culturally and religiously sensitive subjects that contain system questions. Guys, we have again to understand that we're living in a country which is religiously bounded, okay, and culturally bounded. You cannot come and ask very sensitive questions, okay, about that can be asked over there in Europe or in the US, putting in mind here that these are very sensitive here for this culture. If this is going to affect your research, please tell us this is affect your research. We will help you to minimize this risk by saying to the participant, there are some sensitive questions culturally. Please do not answer them if you feel uncomfortable. And he would say, yes, I will not answer. That's it. It has to be very clear there, okay? Not to have them. We need to help each other how we do it, and all it depends on the study. Again, anything culturally, you cannot really touch the culturally sensitive issues here without thinking about the psychological impact on the human subjects and how it affects them in your questions. Please bear that in mind. This will require a full board committee and may take longer time of decision. And for example, as again, if I'm doing some study on autism spectrum disorders children, and I'm assessing, for example, their ability, how to jump or walk or do some exercises, I have to make sure that I'm putting all in the full board committee that you're having, for example, a nurse around, you're having a doctor around, you have a specialist for ASD around, you're having all the criteria that can protect those children from any injury. It's just an idea how this is happening. So again, to make sure that we are really doing that balance. This is just to summarize for you the three categories of the review: exempt, expedite, and full board. And here you can see that this is for the less than the minimum risk. This is not greater than minimum risk. This is more than minimum risk. And if you can see, I'm always talking about risk, okay? Because it has to do, again, with risk or benefits. To finish my talk today, I will just touch point on some important points to consider. That this is, if you're doing the study here at QU, you can take a direct approval from the QU IRB. If you're doing a research collaborating with another clinical site, please remember to bring the approval from the other clinical site, and again from other sites that we're collaborating with. Please allow yourself enough time for the application preparation. Don't put us under pressure because you are late in preparing the application, and then you say that, or you not happy from the IRB that they are not giving you the approval right away. Please give yourself time. Please help us with this. IRB review may take longer than anticipated depending on the complexity of your study. You have to think about it like that. You have to see where you are lying here in those review process. Be proactive and collaborate with the IRB committee in responding to their questions and fulfilling their requirements. It will make everyone life much easier. The rules here: any research involving human subject cannot be done at QU or by QU personnel at other sites prior to approval by QU IRB. Remember that, please. Any work done or any data collected obtaining IRB approval or during lapse protocol is invalid and cannot be used for the publication. You must take the IRB approval first. Absolutely, we do not provide any sort of retroactive approval for research protocols. Please take expert opinions, ask us, talk to colleagues, talk to the IRB committee, and we are very, very helpful, and we good responding emails, send us emails, send questions to us, and we will respond. Any of what I stated today is examples, for you to understand the review process. Some applications are different in some cases, and each case has its own parameters. Please put that in mind. Finally, I would like to acknowledge all researchers that had been working with us and we will work with us because they are always collaborative, and also for those who criticize us, because this was a constructive criticism that we always build on to move on. I would like to thank people working in the IRB office and all the effort that you're doing to facilitate things for all of us. I would like to thank all my colleagues, IRB members, chair and vice chair. I also would like to thank the Research Ethics Office as all, and the Research Office as in general. And at the end, thank you so much for listening.
البحوث الاجتماعية والسلوكية المتضمنة عناصر بشرية. يعني لا ننكر أن جميع الأساسيات، جميع الاستراتيجيات اللي ذكرها الدكتور محمد هي يعني متشابهة جدا مع اللي أنا راح أذكره اليوم، ولكن أنا راح أوصل الشكل العام أو الإطار العام لهذه الاستراتيجيات من منظور البحوث الاجتماعية والسلوكية. تهدف هاي المبادرة بشكل عام إلى تهدف هذه المبادرة بشكل عام إلى تعريفكم بأهم مبادئ أخلاقيات البحث العلمي من منظور العلوم الاجتماعية والإنسانية، وذلك من خلال تقديم السياسات المتبعة في عملية مراجعة لجنة المراجعة المؤسسية في جامعة قطر الIRB. يعني راح نطرح عليكم أهم العناصر، أهم الأشياء اللي إحنا نركز عليها خلال عملية المراجعة اللي نقوم فيها في اللجنة، وكذلك التركيز على أهمية الالتزام بهذه الأخلاقيات في مراحل البحث المختلفة، كان من مراحل إعداد البحث، تجميع المعلومات، النشر، ووصولا إلى مرحلة ما بعد النشر. وأيضا مثل ما ذكر الدكتور محمد، نريد تصحيح بعض المفاهيم الخاطئة عن اللجنة. فدائما ما يتم اتهام اللجنة أن احنا نحاول أن احنا نوقف في طريق الحرية الأكاديمية، أو نخلق بعض من يعني القيود أو العقبات في للباحثين أو الهيئة التدريس في جامعة قطر. ولكن حابة أن يعني أوضح للجميع أن الهدف الرئيسي من الالتزام بهذه الأخلاقيات في مراحل البحث يعني تصب في مصلحة أو مصلحة حماية المشاركين يعني بشكل أساسي، حتى لا يتسبب لهم بأي أذى كان، يعني خلال مرحلة إجراء الدراسة الميدانية أو حتى بعدها في المراحل المتقدمة. وكما تهدف هاي الجلسة إلى تطوير مقاربة توفق بين قواعد هذه أو القواعد الأخلاقيات البحث العلمي من جهة، ومتطلبات البحث الميداني والمنهجي في التخصصات العلوم الاجتماعية من جهة أخرى. فإحنا نحاول نخلق هاي الترابط بين التوفيق بين الجوانب الأخلاقية والميدان في العلوم الاجتماعية والإنسانية. هذا جدول الأعمال أو النقاط الرئيسية اللي راح تتضمنها الجلسة اليوم. تعريف بالمصطلحات المتضمنة اللي في البحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية، الإطار المنهجي، طريقة إجراء البحوث، سوف يتم تطبيق تعريفكم على أهم المبادئ وأخلاقيات البحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية، والذي ذكرها أستاذ محمد، ولكن هنا راح أشرحها بشكل موسع أو بشكل يعني أكبر من ناحية الإطار العلوم الاجتماعية والإنسانية. كذلك سوف أعرض عليكم عملية مراجعة والتدقيق والتقييم، كيفية تقييم اللجنة للطلبات اللي نستقبلها في اللجنة. هني بس حابة أركز على أهمية العلوم الاجتماعية في دراسة وتحليل القضايا والظواهر والمشكلات الاجتماعية التي تنشأ يعني اللي نعاصرها حاليا، وتنشأ بسبب التغيير السريع في المجتمعات، وكذلك المساهمة في معالجتها والتخطيط لمستقبل أفضل. ماذا نقصد في العلوم الاجتماعية؟ هو فرع من العلوم والذي يوفر إطار إدراكي لدراسة عملية لدراسة لعملية النظام الاجتماعي والظواهر الاجتماعية. تتضمن التخصصات مثل التخصص الاقتصادي، الصحة العامة، الديموغرافيا، علوم الاجتماع والعلوم السياسية. هذه العلوم السلوك هو علم بعد يتفرع من العلوم الاجتماعية بشكل أساسي مع الفعل البشري، ويسعى غالبا إلى التعميم حول السلوك البشري في المجتمع، يتداخل مع العلوم الاجتماعية في الجوانب السلوكية، وكذلك يتم اتباع مناهج تجريبية معينة مثل علم النفس، العمل الاجتماعي، علم النفس الاجتماعي أو الأنثروبولوجيا. ماذا نقصد تحديدا بالبحوث الاجتماعية والسلوكية؟ هي دراسة تشمل تطوير بحثي لمعرفة معينة أو وتقييم المساهمة في تطوير معرفة عامة. هذا تعريف البحوث الاجتماعية والسلوكية بشكل عام. ولكن ماذا نقصد بالتحديد بالبحوث المتضمنة لعناصر بشرية أو البحوث التي لا تتضمن عناصر بشرية؟ ماذا أقصد بهاي الشيء؟ مثل ما قلت أن العلوم الاجتماعية بشكل عام تدرس الظواهر الاجتماعية، دراسة الأفعال، الأفكار والعواطف، المعتقدات السائدة في المجتمع. تتم عن طريق استخدام مناهج علمية يمكن أن تقوم على الملاحظة، على التجريب، على استخدام الاختبارات القياسية وغيرها. وأنا متأكدة أن جميع الباحثين هم على اطلاع واسع بالمناهج العلمية المختلفة، بحوث المسحية، الاستبيانات، المقابلات، مجموعات التركيز، ملاحظات البحوث التربوية، وكذلك جينا بعض الابليكيشن اللي تتضمن مناهج تخص علوم النفس مثل دروس الكمبيوتر النفسية وغيرها. ماذا نقصد بالبحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية؟ هو يعني الطريقة أو العملية التي يطلب فيها من الأشخاص المشاركة بأي معلومات أو بيانات أو مواد خاصة، بحيث يتم الحصول هذه البيانات من خلال عدة طرق مختلفة. ما هي هذه الطرق؟ أولاً التفاعل المباشر، التواصل بشتى أشكاله بين الباحث والشخص المشارك في البحث، مثل الاستبيان أو المقابلات أو أي من المناهج العلمية التي تم ذكرها. التفاعل الغير مباشر هي المشاركة الغير مباشرة بين الباحث والشخص المشارك في البحث، كما من خلال الأوبزرفيشن أو اللي هو المناهج التي تتضمن الملاحظة. التدخل هو خلق ظروف معينة لإجراء البحث من خلال معالجة الشخص أو بيئته المحيطة. كذلك ماذا نقصد بالبحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية؟ هي البحوث التي يتم فيها جمع معلومات تعريفية، طلب معلومات خاصة من طرف ثالث تتعلق بالفرد، يمكن استخدامها لتحديد هوية الشخص، مثل الاسم، رقم الهوية أو الرقم الشخصي، السجلات، الملفات والبيانات البنكية. السجلات مثلا من ناحية البحوث الاجتماعية، مثلا نفترض أن أنا كباحثة أقوم بإجراء دراسة لدراسة مثلا تأثير الطلاق مثلا على الأبناء، فأنا أستعين مثلا بسجلات خاصة من مركز الاستشارات العائلية مثلا لتحليل بحوث معينة أو استنتاج أو استخلاص يعني بيانات. فهذه هذه النوعية من البحوث التي تتضمن تطلع على سجلات أو ملفات خاصة تتعلق بأفراد، هذه كلها تتضمن عناصر بشرية، بغض النظر سواء أن احنا صار في دايركت انتراكشن أو في تفاعل مباشر أو غير مباشر، بس هي تحدد لي هوية هذا الشخص، فهي موافقة أخلاقية من اللجنة. كذلك المعلومات أو جمع معلومات ذات خصوصية يقدمها الشخص لغرض معين ويتوقع حفظ سريتها. هذه هي بشكل أساسي أو بشكل عام ماذا نقصد فيه بالبحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية. الآن ماذا نقصد بالبحوث الغير متضمنة، أو ما هي البحوث التي لا تتشكل أو لا تتضمن عناصر بشرية؟ نفترض أن إحنا حابين نسوي دراسة على مقالات أصلاً متاحة للجمهور، already بيانات متاحة للجمهور في الصحف والمجلات، نستخدمها لأغراض تحليلية، ولكن هذه المقالات أو هذه البيانات يشترط أن لا تحتوي على معلومات دالة أو تعريفية عن الأشخاص أو المجموعات. فهذه بحوث يعني لا تتضمن وجود عناصر بشرية بشكل أساسي، ولكنها متاحة للجميع وممكن للجميع يعني استخدامها. ما هي يعني بشكل أساسي المبادئ أو الأخلاقيات البحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية؟ يجب تطبيق 3 مبادئ أساسية، ودائما احنا نحرص عليها كمبادئ في اللجنة، ويتم اتباعها دائما. تطبيق مبدأ الاحترام، تطبيق مبدأ المنفعة، وتطبيق مبدأ العدالة. في كل واحد من هاي المبادئ تتضمن بعض الشروط أو بعض العناصر الرئيسية التي يتم التركيز فيها. ماذا نقصد بتطبيق مبدأ الاحترام؟ وهو من خلال طلب موافقة الأشخاص على المشاركة في البحث. أنا غطيت المبدأ الأول من مبادئ أخلاقيات البحوث في تطبيق مبدأ الاحترام. تطبيق مبدأ المنفعة من خلال تصميم منهجية بحث علمية وفعالة تدرس لي المخاطر والمنافع قبل حتى إجراء البحث أو قبل البدء في البحث. أيضا تطبيق مبدأ العدالة من خلال القيام بإجراءات عادلة لاختيار عينة المشاركين في البحث. والحين راح أستعرض عليكم يعني بشكل سريع كل واحد من هاي المبادئ وماذا تتضمن هذه المبادئ. مبدأ الاحترام يتضمن احترام استقلالية المشاركين وحماية خصوصيتهم، عدم استغلالهم، مثل ما ذكر الدكتور محمد حتى في شرحه أن المشاركة يجب أن تكون يعني بشكل طوعي وبشكل تطوعي، يشترط رضا المشارك التام أو من يمثله، ولا يتضمن فرض أي عقوبات أو طلب إجراءات معينة بغرض الحصول على الموافقة. يعني أنا ما أروح أحاول أقنعه والله أنت بتحصل كذا لا، يعني هو يكون بموافقته طوعية وهو يحاب يشارك في الدراسة. المبدأ الثاني اللي هو مبدأ المنفعة والمخاطر يضمن لي حماية المشاركين وسلامتهم ضد أي ضرر، خاصة هي الفئات الخاصة اللي نتكلم عنها: الأطفال ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة، المساجين، المرأة الحامل، يعني في فئات خاصة تتضمن وجود يعني حماية أكبر لهم. تقييمي أنا كسعي هذا الباحث في تقليص المخاطر الممكنة ويعني الريسك في مقابل المنافع من خلال اتخاذ إجراءات أو طرق علمية في تصميم البحوث، وهذا دائما نركز عليه. كل ما كانت الطريقة علمية يتم اقتباسها بشكل واضح، تقييم اللجنة يسهل علينا حتى التقييم، لأن هذا البحث يعني وضح لنا كيفية طريقته أو منهجيته في تقليص المخاطر، وضح لنا أنه هو راح يضمن حماية المشاركين وسلامته ضد أي ضرر. فأنت هنا غطيت المبدأ الثاني اللي هي المنفعة والمخاطر. ماذا نقصد بمبدأ العدالة؟ هي عدم فرض أي أعباء لا مبرر لها على المشاركة في البحث، عدم ممارسة الضغوط على فئة محددة من المجتمع على حساب فئة أخرى. ماذا أقصد بهاي الشيء؟ يجب أن لا تكون طريقة استقطاب العينة أو انتقاء العينة مبنية على سهولة جلب هذه المعلومات تحت ظروف أيا كانت. مثلا أن أنا أستغل مثلا فئة، نفترض أن أنا أسوي بحث عن العمالة مثلا الغير ماهرة أو البلو كولر، أنا ما أستغل ظروفهم أو أستغل أن هم والله يعني I will have like easy access يعني to them، فتكون منهجيتي هنا منحازة لاتجاه فئة معينة وما راح تكون يعني شاملة أو موسعة. فمن خلال استقطاب عينة مشاركين، اختيارهم بشكل عادل على المستوى الفردي وكذلك المستوى الاجتماعي، أنا أكون هنا كباحث غطيت مبدأ العدالة في أخلاقيات البحوث. من هاي المنطلق تتجه العديد من المراكز والجامعات ومراكز البحوث العالمية إلى يعني تطبيق أو اتخاذ أو مثل ما نقول منو راح أن أنت طبقت هذه المبادئ بشكل تام، حتى يضمن أنت حقك أنت كباحث، ويضمن حق المشاركين في هاي الدراسة، عشان أنت كباحث ما تطيح مستقبلا في أي ريسك. فأنا بعد حابة أركز على هاي النقطة، إن إحنا مش فقط نحمي المشاركين، إحنا نحميك أنت كباحث تجري هذه الدراسة. لأن يعني حتى أنت مثلا في الموافقة أو الكونسنت فورم تكتب لنا أو تكتب للمشارك already إن هذا البحث تمت الموافقة عليه من لجنة الأخلاقيات في جامعة قطر، فأنت محمي اوريدي، أنت يعني قاعد تحمي نفسك بطريقة ما. فإحنا الجهة اللي نقدر نضمن أن هذه المبادئ تم تحقيقها قبل حتى المباشرة في أي إجراء في إجراءات الدراسة أو العمل الميداني. فتتضمن هذه الإجراءات المعينة التي ذكرها أيضا الدكتور محمد، والتي سوف تذكرها الأخت أو الزميلة سندي لاحقا. تتطلب التقديم للحصول على هاي الموافقة قبل البدء بالمشروع، حتى يتم التأكد أن مراحل تنفيذ هذا المشروع تتماشى مع مبادئ السياسة الأخلاقيات البحث. كذلك تلتزم اللجنة بسياسة وزارة الصحة العامة في دولة قطر لحماية الأشخاص المشاركين في البحث. وحابة يعني أذكركم في بداية السيشن ذكر لنا الدكتور محمد إن في أشياء يعني تجرى في الخفاء، أنتم يعني غير مطلعين عليها، وإحنا تحت ضغط ان احنا نحاول بقدر الامكان تطبيق هذه السياسات والمبادئ تماشيا مع القوانين والممارسات المتعارف عليها دوليا. فاحنا يعني باي شكل من الاشكال لا نحاول تقييد الحريه الاكاديميه او تقييد البحوث كما ينظر الى اللجنه، ولكن هذا مسؤوليه اللجنه، وهي يعني مسؤوليه كبيره، واتمنى ان الباحثين يكونون متفهمين لهذه النقطة. الآن أنتقل إلى عملية المراجعة، عملية طلب الموافقة قبل الموافقة على إجراء البحث. أنا الحين كمحكم أو كمراجع لهذا الطلب، ماذا علي، يعني ما هي العناصر التي علي أن أتأكد من تحقيقها في الطلب المقدم لي من ناحية العلوم الاجتماعية والإنسانية بشكل خاص؟ يعني أنا الحين أنا في الجلسة هذه أركز بشكل خاص على العلوم الاجتماعية والإنسانية. أولاً، عدم تعارض البحث مع الأحكام الشرعية، الأنظمة المتبعة في الدولة وثقافة المجتمع. هاي يعني أهم شيء بالنسبة لي أنا كمحكم أو بالنسبة حق أي عضو في اللجنة، لا يتعارض مع الأحكام الشرعية. ليش؟ لأن ساعات الباحثين مثل ما أنتم عارفين نطبق إحنا، يعني أنا بعد كباحثة نفسكم أطبق ميجرمنت أو أطبق سكيلز معينة أنا خذيتها من دراسات هي اوريدي مطبقة في جهات يعني أو مؤسسات international أو from the western countries. أنا أحاول قاعدة يعني أحاول من خلال هاي البحث إن أنا أجري مثلا مقارنة بين البيانات أو نتائج الدراسات، وكيف تطبيقها مثلا في مناطق معينة، وكيف تجرى هذه كيف ما هي نتائج هذه البحوث بشكل خاص في الخليج العربي أو في الميدل إيست أو يعني بأي شكل من الأشكال. ساعات هذه الميجرمنت أو هذه السكيل لا تتماشى مع الأنظمة المتبعة في الدولة، راح تخلق للجنة وتخلق للباحث نفسه بعض الإشكاليات لا تنطبق على ثقافة المجتمع. ما أقدر في مواضيع جدا تكون حساسة، يعني نحاول بقدر الإمكان أن احنا تكون هاي المواضيع ما تتعارض مع هذه الأنظمة. كذلك نقطة ثانية أو عنصر مهم يتم تقييمه في اللجنة اللي هو سؤال البحث ومدى ملائمة عينة البحث المختارة أو المنطقة التي اختارها الباحث. ماذا نقصد في هاي الشيء؟ اللي هو كيفية استقطاب هذه العينة، معايير الاستبعاد ومعايير الاختيار للأشخاص، خصائص هذه العينة، هل هم يعني فوق 18 عام، تحت 18 عام؟ يعني أنا أشوف مدى ملائمة اختيارك لسؤالك البحثي والعينة التي سوف يتم التطبيق عليها. وكذلك أحب أذكر أن اللجنة تعير انتباه خاص للطلبات التي تشمل فئات خاصة أو فئات مستضعفة، نفس ما ذكرت الأطفال السجناء والقصر، لازم تتأكد اللجنة أن الباحث أخذ جميع الاحتياطات في توفير يعني حماية إضافية لهذه الفئات. كذلك يعني ممكن أن أنتم رجعنا لكم مثلا أدوات الدراسة، مثلا أدوات الاستبيان، أدوات المقابلة، أو طلبنا منكم تغيرون فيها أو تراجعون أو تعدلون فيها. فأتمنى أن ما تأخذون هذا على شكل يعني شخصي أو تقييد، ان احنا ما نبيكم تجمعون البيانات اللي انتم تحتاجونها في بحثكم او اللي انتم طالبينها، بس ان احنا نحاول بإمكان ان لا نشعر المشارك في هاي الدراسة انه هو مستقصد، او انه هو ممكن هي قلت لك offended، او يحس انه هو يعني تم استنقاص، او يعني او تم يعني، لان مثلا نفترض ان المسجون طرحنا عليه سؤال يعني وهو get offended مثلا، او حس انه هو يعني اهانه هذا السؤال بالنسبه له. فاحنا بشكل عام ندرس ليش نراجع الادوات المستخدمه فقط لحمايه المشارك في هذه الدراسه. يتم ايضا مراجعه وثائق الموافقه المستنيره، تقييم المخاطر المحتمله التي يمكن ان تنجم عن البحث، ضمان سريه المشاركين وحمايه خصوصياتهم. هذا بشكل عام اهم العناصر التي يتم مراجعتها في اللجنه. ماذا اقصد بعمليه تقييم وثائق الموافقه؟ كيف اقيم انا كمحكم وثيقه الموافقه المستنيره؟ مراجعه النص الذي سوف يستعمل للحصول على موافقه المشاركين، ويتم التركيز فيه على اعطاء ملخص للبحث، موضوع وطبيعه البحث، الهدف، معلومات عن العينه المنتقاه، حتى انا اعرف كمشارك انا هذه الدراسه تنطبق علي او لا. فهنا انا اقيم هاي الشيء. اذا مثلا كان في قصور او كان في نقص، ان احنا نرجع لكم اياه لوضع هذه المعلومات اللي احنا نحسها ان مش كامله، او المشارك ما راح يكون يعني واضح بالنسبه له اذا هو تنطبق عليه المشاركه في الدراسه او لا. اجراءات ومنهجيه البحث، نقول لهم الفتره الزمنيه المقدره لاستكمال الاستبيان والبحث، ونطرح عليهم سؤال في استخدام اجهزه تسجيل، اجهزه الفيديو اذا كان وافق او لا، وكذلك ناخذ موافقتهم او الكونسنت يعني هاي من البدايه. نحدد له المخاطر من المشاركه في البحث، وكذلك اي ضرر او اي مضايقات ممكن انه هو يتعرض لها. نذكر له ان المشاركة طوعية بشكل تام، ولا نفرض وليس هناك أي ضغوطات للمشاركة في هذا البحث، وأيضا توضيح سياسة الانسحاب من الدراسة في أي وقت أو عدم الإجابة على أي سؤال، هذا كذلك متاح لهم. ضمان كيفية حماية أو الحفاظ على الخصوصية والسرية، وأيضا نحط طريقة التواصل مع الباحث. ممكن أن أنا أبي أسأل عن حقوقي كمشارك، هل أنا بتكون لي الصلاحية فيما بعد للاطلاع على نتائج الدراسة؟ ممكن أن يكون عندي بعض الاستفسارات عن هاي الأشياء فيما بعد عملية جمع البيانات، وكذلك طلب موافقة والتوقيع أو توقيع المشارك في الدراسة. ماذا أقصد بضمان سرية بيانات المشاركين؟ وهي المحافظة على معلوماتهم السرية في البحث العلمي أثناء إجراء البحث، وكذلك بعد الانتهاء من البحث، ولا يجوز الكشف عن هذه البيانات التي أفاد فيها الخاضعين للبحث. فأنا كمحكم أنا أقيم كيفية حفاظ أو المنهجية التي سوف يتبعها الباحث في ضمان سرية البيانات. يعني بعض الأمثلة لكيفية المنهجية التي يستخدمها يعني معظم الباحثين في ضمان السرية، اللي هي حفظ المعلومات في مكان آمن ومغلق، حفظ البيانات مثلا وتشفيرها باستخدام رموز، استعمال جهاز إلكتروني أو اللابتوب اللي هو محمي بكلمات السر، استخدام مثلا يعني توضح لي أن أنت والله عندك برامج حماية يعني للحد من مخاطر مثلا اختراق الجهاز في المستقبل. فهذه كلها من الأشياء اللي أنا كمحكم أشوفها أو أطلع عليها قبل إعطاء الموافقة. الآن هذه هي أهم نقطة يعني تمر علينا في اللجنة، اللي هي عملية تقييم المخاطر في البحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية. يتم النظر فيها من خلال توضيح نسبة المخاطر إلى الفائدة المرجوة من هذا البحث، من خلال تحديد جميع المخاطر المحتملة. كيف يتم النظر في طريقة سعي الباحث إلى تقليل هذه المخاطر؟ ممكن أن أنتم تقولون أن والله يعني الدراسة في الظواهر الاجتماعية أو يعني الظواهر السلوكية لا تتطلب أو لا يوجد هناك مخاطر محتملة، هو كله يعني دائما احنا نقول بيكون والله أونلاين، ما أتوقع أن المشارك يعني بيحصل أو بتواجه خطورة في المشاركة في هاي الدراسة. ولكن يجب الأخذ بعين الاعتبار جميع المخاطر المحتملة، سواء المخاطر المعنوية، الأضرار الجسدية والنفسية. مثلا ممكن أن الأسئلة تسبب لي أنا إحراج أو قلق كمشارك، حتى لو كان هو دايركت انتراكشن، ولا أن أنا من وراء الشاشة أنا لازم أخذ بعين الاعتبار المخاطر هذه. المخاطر الاجتماعية مثل الوصم أو الوصم الاجتماعي، المخاطر الاقتصادية. هل أنا كمشارك لما أشارك في هذه الدراسة راح أتعرض لأي أذى مثلا مادي، مخاطر في العمل؟ هل هالشيء راح يسبب لي ريسك أن أنا ينقطع مثلا I get fired يعني من الجهة اللي أنا أشتغل فيها؟ كذلك يعني هل راح يسبب لي أن أنا المزايا أو المنافع اللي أنا حاليا قاعد يعني أخذها أو أستحقها راح مثلا تنأخذ مني إذا أنا مثلا شاركت في هاي الدراسة؟ أنا يعني أنا كباحث أو أنا كمحكم لازم أضمن أن المشارك ما يتعرض لأي من هذه المخاطر، وكذلك نحرص على المخاطر القانونية التي يعني تعرض المشاركين للمساءلة القانونية، من خلال مثلا نفترض أن أنا نشرت بيانات معينة وهذيل الأشخاص مثلا هم أعطوني الموافقة أن هم عادي عندهم أن ينحط مثلا اسمهم أو يتم التعريف بهويتهم. هل هالشيء راح يعني في المستقبل يسبب لهم أي مساءلة قانونية إذا أدلوا بهذه المعلومات؟ يجب الأخذ بعين الاعتبار جميع هذه المخاطر. كذلك المخاطر الثانوية التي تنتج عن تطبيق الدراسة. إذا كان البحث يؤثر تأثير سيء على المجتمع، مثال يعني تكريس مثلا، هذا البحث يتضمن مفاهيم، مثلا تكريس مفهوم التفرقة على أساس العرق أو الانتماء الأسري أو القبائلي. جميع هاي المواضيع تكون شوي حساسة في مجتمعنا جدا محافظ، وعندنا عادات وتقاليد معينة. ف يعني احنا ناخذ بعين الاعتبار هذه المخاطر الثانوية التي ممكن تنتج عن تطبيق هذه الدراسة. ف يعني يا ريت ان يعني جميعنا نكون يعني مسؤولين من هالناحية. يعني احنا فقط مش نحمي المشارك بشكل خاص، مش نحمي احنا نفسنا، كذلك يعني نشوف احنا الجهة الثانية، المجتمع. هل هالشيء مثلا بيأثر على جهات مثلا مؤسسات؟ هل راح يعرضهم لمشاكل؟ يجب الأخذ بعين الاعتبار جميع هذه المخاطر. وكذلك هل سوف يؤثر هذا البحث على أشخاص آخرين؟ مثلا أن أنا رحت طبقت دراسة وأسئلتي كانت تتضمن طلب معلومات من المشاركين في هذه الدراسة عن أشخاص آخرين. أنا لازم أخذ في عين الاعتبار هل هاي المعلومات ما راح تأثر على المشارك نفسه ممكن، بس احتمال تؤثر على أشخاص آخرين هم أصلا ما لهم يعني ما يعني حتى ما كانت تنطبق عليهم هذه الدراسة. فيجب يعني الأخذ بعين الاعتبار جميع هذه المخاطر. الآن أنتقل بشكل سريع لأنواع المراجعة الأخلاقية التي اللجنة بالنسبة للمخاطر هذه المتوقعة. كيف أقيم هذه المخاطر؟ نفس أكيد كلكم تعرفون هي ثلاث أنواع من المراجعة الأخلاقية اللي دائما تندرج تحتها البحوث. أول نقطة اللي هي الإكزمشن أو البحوث المراجعة العاجلة. أي بحث لا يشمل أو تشمل أقل من الحد الأدنى من المخاطر، لا تشمل مخاطر جسدية أو لا يعني ما راح تشكل أي مخاطر نفسية أو اقتصادية متوقعة، سوف تندرج هاي النوعية من هاي البحوث تحت المراجعة العاجلة. وهاي المراجعة لا تتطلب مراجعة أغلبية أعضاء اللجنة، ممكن أن شخص أو يعني أنه يكفي لمراجعتها هاي الإكزمشن ستاديز. المراجعة الثانية اللي هي الإكسبيدايتد أو المراجعة العاجلة ولكن مع تدقيق وتقييم. ممكن أن يكون فيها هذه الإكسبيدايتد احتمالية الضرر أو المخاطر متوقعة من المشاركة في هاي الدراسة يعني لا تتعدى ما قد نتعرض له في الحياة اليومية. مثلا ممكن تسبب لي هذه الدراسة شوي انزعاج، عدم ارتياح، ضغط طفيف من اختبار مثلا نفسي أو اختبار تربوي أنا سويته. فهاي البحوث التي تندرج تحت هاي المراجعة تتطلب مراجعة عضوين إلى 3 أعضاء من اللجنة. هذا يعني بعد أرجع وأقول لكم هذا بشكل عام. ففي دراسات أخرى لها كرايتيريا معينة، ولكن هاي بشكل عام أنواع المراجعة. ماذا نقصد بالمراجعة الكاملة أو الفول بورد ريفيو؟ هي تتعدى يعني البحوث التي تشمل يعني على حد أدنى، يعني تتعدى الحد الأدنى من المخاطر، يعني أكثر من الحد الأدنى المتوقع. مثال اختبارات نفسية مجهدة، أسئلة حول نشاطات غير قانونية، مثلا استخدام المخدرات، استخدام مثلا البيع الخمور أو الفساد، الكوربشن، الأشياء اللي يعني في هاي الأسئلة التي تتضمن مثلا أسئلة حول الاختلاسات، المال العام، الأشياء تتضمن يعني مواضيع تكون جدا يعني حساسة وكبيرة. فهذه النوع من البحوث تكون تحت مراجعة الفول بورد ريفيو وتتضمن مراجعة أغلبية أعضاء اللجنة. هذا بشكل عام الفئات التي تندرج تحت المراجعة العاجلة exempted. أغلبية البحوث التي مثلا في المدارس، في المؤسسات التعليمية التي تحتوي على أسئلة على استراتيجيات التعليم، الأساليب التعليمية، المناهج. العينة تكون هني دائما مثلا المعلمين والمعلمات. تتضمن مثلا أن احنا نجري اختبار على الطلاب والطالبات، اختبارات تربوية إدراكية، التحصيل الدراسي من خلال إجراء المقابلة أو الملاحظة. هذه كلها تكون مراجعات عاجلة وإكزمتد من عملية المراجعة. البحوث التي يتم فيها استخدام بيانات متاحة للجمهور ولكن لا تحتوي على معلومات دالة وتعريفية عن الأشخاص كذلك تكون exempted. الفئة الرابعة تتضمن دراسات أو بحوث تشمل تقييم برامج خدماتية معينة. نفترض أن أنا كباحث قاعد أسوي مثلا دراسة عن مثلا خدمات أريد أو خدمات المواصلات، المترو، يعني هذه الدراسات اللي كخدمات يعني متاحة هي يعني للعامة، وأنا حاب أخذ رأيهم في هذه الخدمات لتطويرها، سواء لتطويرها لتقييمها بشكل عام تندرج تحت الإكزمتد. دراسة أو تقييم آراء المستهلك مثلا في مطاعم، مثلا أنا في الغذاء في أخذ وجهة نظرهم في مثلا تقديم خدمات في الاستهلاكية أو عن المنتجات الغذائية، كلها تتضمن المراجعة الإكزمتد. وننتقل الآن إلى الإكسبيدايتد. ماذا نقصد أنواع المراجعة التي تتضمن الإكسبيدايتد ريفيو؟ يعني أنا يعني اللي أقول لكم إياه أن من الفئة الأولى إلى الفئة مثلا الرابعة ممكن أن هي تندرج تحت البحوث الحيوية الطبية. الأشياء اللي ذكرها الدكتور محمد تندرج تحت هذه الفئات من الأول إلى الرابع، ولكن في البحوث الاجتماعية أو البحوث اللي تخص الظواهر الاجتماعية وما إلى ذلك تندرج تحت الفئات من 5 إلى 7، وهي تشمل البحث عن معلومات أو سجلات أو عينات نفس ما ذكرت لكم في السلايدات اللي قبل، تجمع أو سوف تجمع هذه البيانات في المستقبل. جمع بيانات عن طريق التسجيل الصوتي أو المرئي لأغراض البحث، جمع بيانات عن طريق المسح أو المقابلة أو مجموعات التركيز. هذه هي الفئات اللي دائما تندرج تحتها يعني البحوث التي تندرج تحت إطار البحوث الاجتماعية والسلوكية بشكل عام. هذا بعض الأسئلة التي يعني توجهكم أنتم بشكل خاص كباحثين. تقيم أنت بحثك حتى قبل لا ترسله للجنة. اسأل هذه الأسئلة: هل يعتبر بحث علمي على البشر؟ فهذا هو الإجابة تكون نعم ويتطلب مراجعة. هل يتضمن هذا البحث جمع معلومات حول مشاعر مشاركين أو آرائهم الشخصية باستخدام أداة جمع بيانات أو المقابلات؟ نعم، تتطلب هذه الدراسة مراجعة من الأجنة، وسوف يعني ممكن أن هي تندرج تحت مراجعة عاجلة مع تقييم اللي هو expedited. هل البحث يتضمن أكثر من الحد الأدنى من المخاطر؟ هل يكون الريسك عالي هنا؟ فبعد هذه الأسئلة راح توضح لي يعني طبعا مثلا إذا كان في البورد ريفيو أنا أخذ بعين الاعتبار أن الموافقة ممكن تجيني متأخرة، أو دائما نحن يعني توصلنا بعض الانتقادات أو الشكاوي أن يعني طول عملية المراجعة. إذا تم تقييم هذه الأسئلة يعني قبل حتى لا تبعث لنا طلب الموافقة، راح يعني راح تبين لك يعني إذا هذه الدراسة راح والله تطول شهر عملية المراجعة أو تطول مثلا يعني أكثر من ذلك. إذا كانت تتطلب موافقات من جهات أخرى كذلك راح تطول عملية المراجعة الأخلاقية. مثلا في البحوث أو الدراسات أو اللي تخص التعليم دائما نطلب من المشاركين أن يجيبون لنا موافقة مثلا من وزارة التعليم والتعليم العالي. كل ما كان الأشياء المطلوبة مو يعني available أو عندك أنت سرعت على نفسك عملية المراجعة. بس حابة أختم بنماذج مشاريع بحثية. هي هذه المشاريع يا هي قائمة أو هي أمثلة توضح لكم عملية مثلا الإعفاء أو الإكسبيدايتد أو الفول بورد ريفيو. المشروع رقم 1 مثلا دراسة حول استخدام وسائل الإعلام نفس ما قلت لكم وخدمات الاتصال والمواصلات في دولة قطر. الوسائل الإعلامية مثلا أن أنا موضوع عندي يعني عندي أبغى استقصي رأي المشاركين في مثلا قناة الجزيرة، قناة مثلا الريان، أي شيء يعني يخص مثلا وسائل الإعلام، وأبي يعني أستقصي هاي الدراسة من المشاركين. راح يعني ممكن أن هي تكون exempted، فركزوا على كلمة ممكن يعني لأن بعد في كرايتيريا اللي إحنا نشوفها نفس ما قلت لكم اللي هي المخاطر إلى الفوائد. فهذه بعض النماذج يعني في الكزمتد أو المراجعات العاجلة أو المعفية. التقييم المعجل أو مثلا نفترض ان هذا مشروع يعني انا ودكتور معنا في معهد البحوث الاجتماعيه الاقتصاديه المسيحيه يعني قائمين عليه، وهو مثلا مشروع عن وباء فيروس كورونا، اتجاهات افراد المجتمع نحو المخاطر والاستجابات السلوكيه. تم مراجعه او يندرج هذا النوع من البحوث اللي انا استقصي فيه افراد يعني الاستجابات السلوكيه لافراد المجتمع، رايهم وتوجهاتهم. في هاي الموضوع اندرج تحت المراجعة الاكسبيدايتد. الفول بورد ريفيو تتضمن هي مشاريع مثلا نفترض البحوث القانونية، أو نفترض المشاريع العلوم السياسية التي تكون فيها استقصاء مثلا من العينة المشاركين في هذا البحث، مثلا من دبلوماسيين، من ناس مثلا معروفين في المجتمع. فهذا احنا يعني كلجنة أن نوفر أو يعني نحاول تقييم المخاطر على هؤلاء مثلا الأشخاص أو على هؤلاء العينات، فمن خلال الفول بورد ريفيو. هذا بشكل عام المبادئ الأخلاقية في البحوث المتضمنة عناصر بشرية من ناحية العلوم الاجتماعية والسلوكية. يعطيكم العافية، مشكورين. وإذا في أي سؤال إن شاء الله في نهاية الجلسة ممكن أن أنتم تطرحونه. الحين أخلي المجال للأخت ساندي تطرح الجلسة الثالثة بإذن الله. يعطيكم العافية، شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا دكتورة نورة على البرزنتيشن. الآن كمان نذكر إذا في أي سؤال أرجو كتابته في قسم ال Q&A، وإن شاء الله بعد البارت الثالث اللي أنا هلأ رح أقدمه بتقدروا نقدر نجاوب إن شاء الله على كل الأسئلة اللي موجودة. I will share my screen. واضحة السكرين أخ كريم؟ No? share. هلا واضحة؟ تمام. The ethical approval procedures. The content of this part I will talk briefly on the hierarchy and operational workflow of the office, the QU-IRB registration, also how the review type is selected administratively, of course, approval process workflow and timeline. We will also give some hints on how to ensure the completeness of your application package before you submit. Also, we will give some examples of what an application process that also you can do so you can save time. The last thing I will just give some advices on the collaborative research ethics approval that is required by the Ministry of Public Health. So along my presentation, you will hear a lot of those terms a lot. So the MOPH is the Ministry of Public Health, which is the regulatory body that sets the policies and regulations for a safe research. It also implements mechanisms to inspect and monitor health research activities. So basically, is the regulatory body that regulates all the ethics pertaining to human subject research. QU-IRB is the Qatar University Institutional Review Board. It was first established in 2008 to ensure full ethical compliance with MOPH and QU policies, regulations, and guidelines governing research involving human subject. QU-IBC is the Qatar University Institutional Biohazard Committee. The committee is responsible for reviewing and controlling the research activities associated with the biohazardous material use. IRBNet is our new online submission system that is currently used by QU to receive and manage all applications submitted to the Tri-Board Ethics Committees. So the QU-IRB, represented by the IRB chair and the IRB members, are reported immediately and directly to the Vice President of Research and Graduate Studies. The Vice President is the institutional official or the signatory official of QU. The institutional official of record on its Ministry of Public Health Assurance has the ultimate responsibility to ensure the ethical research compliance. Also, the IO ensures the protection of right and welfare of human subject in any research done by QU or at QU. And also the institutional official ensures the independency and autonomy of the QU-IRB. The Research Ethics and Integrity Office provides administrative support to the QU-IRB and also focal point between the committee and the Ministry of Public Health in terms of registration, assurance, and all related matters. The research ethics and integrity is under the Office of Research Excellence, reported to under the Research Planning and Development Directorate, and this is the administrative support that provides the administrative. Everything is administratively processed through this office and through the specialist that gives the support to the QUIRB chair and members. So the QUIRB registration, since the IRB or since the Qatar University has its own institutional review board, it has to be registered by the Ministry of Public Health. So this registration gives the QUIRB committee the authority to approve, require modification, or disapprove any research covered under human subject research. And also, it has to abide all the guidelines, regulations, and policies pertaining to research involving subject that the Ministry of Public Health has set. So, of course, if you apply for grants and funds, you are very familiar with the assurance number. So, also QUIRB always maintain a valid assurance that is renewed every year. Since the QUIRB is a registered committee under the MOPH, it is always subjected to audits and inspections, followed by the research department at MOPH. It revises all the SOPs of the committees, and also it ensures that the review, all the review is done according to the guidelines and according to the policies of the Ministry of Public Health pertaining to this kind of research. So the review type is selected according to the type of risk. So for all applications that are less than minimal risk or contains no risk, it goes to the exempt review procedure. So the exempt review procedure, as what Dr. Amara and Dr. Noura said, it has a shorter processing time other than the expedite or full bar, and that's because it contains almost no risk to the participants, but it has to be checked by the office and also by the committee that it actually qualifies for the exempt. So once it is checked that it qualifies for the exempt, the approval is can be granted quickly, and it can be approved by the chair or the vice chair in a timely manner. If the risk is minimal, then this goes to the expedited review type. Also, administratively, those applications are grouped to be reviewed in a weekly meeting with the chair or co-chair, and those types of projects are distributed to committee members because it has to be reviewed by one or more of the committee members. So those types of projects, they have to go in review to the committee members and designated committee members. Finally, the chair or the co-chair approves the final decision. The full board meeting or the full board review procedure is the most lengthy one. Usually full boards are conducted monthly unless there is a need to be conducted more than once per month. For a full board to be met, it has to meet a quorum. A quorum where it means that majority of the committee has to be in the meeting, and all the decisions are voting. So to make sure that the quorum is met, this takes a lot of administrative task and administrative follow-up. Even during the meeting, we have to keep to maintain the quorum during the meeting and to maintain the majority of the full board attending. This is only for the cases that are greater than minimal risks. So usually we receive questions that when the meeting is going to happen. Is it this month? Did we did the meeting and we missed it. Actually, not every application goes to the full board. It depends again on the type of risk. So it doesn't mean that a full board had been done for this month, then your application will be, for example, late for a month or two. It's not like that. Maybe your application does not need a full board. Maybe it is exempt or expedite. So according to that, the IRB staff can distribute or make the application goes into a certain path according to the type of review. So the workflow goes as shown in this chart. First, when we first receive the application, it goes into initial screening by the IRB staff. So the initial screening is not part of the review. It is the pre-review stage. So the pre-review stage is just to make sure that all documents are complete and all information are provided so that the application is complete. And once the application is complete, then we can send it for review. When you receive comments or emails at this stage, as in the initial screening stage, you are receiving it from the IRB staff, not from the committee. And also this can be multiple times. It depends on your responses. So for example, if all the initial screening comments are addressed, then this you won't see another initial screening email. This the email that you will receive or the notification that you will receive later will be the comments from review. But if the initial screening comments are not addressed adequately, or if the supporting documents are not provided as requested, then your application will stay in the initial screening stage. So usually for an application, when it comes to our office, it takes 5 working days, up to 5 working days. So when it goes back and forth between us and the applicant, this is not counted for a total initial screening stage, because of course, as we said, it depends on your responses. So also you have a control on how long your application is going to stay in the initial screening stage. As for the IRB review, once the IRB staff or specialist will check your application for completeness, this will go to IRB review. The IRB review will also have some comments and some changes, requests, but this is this time from the committee members. So the IRB members, when they, or the designated member, when they review your application, they will have comments. Maybe sometimes they will ask for more clarification, changes in the or rephrasing in the questionnaire, some additional requirements that is missed in the, or they think that it has to be mentioned in the informed consent form. All of these comments, when you receive them, these are coming from the designated member that is reviewing your application. The member sometimes cannot take a decision without having those changes and details available or clear. So for a member to decide on your application or to give it a review, a category, some information has to be provided. So if everything is clear in your application, then maybe the member won't ask for any further requirements, and it will go directly to the approval process. But in many cases, we see that the IRB member requests some changes, and also at this stage, also say it's minor changes, you can just do them and I approve, or I need to see those changes again to make sure that this application is complete and all changes has been addressed. So it goes back again to the committee member. So once he or she are satisfied, at that stage, the application goes to the approval stage. In the approval stage, the chair or co-chair will issue the approval letter, of course, approved by the chair and the co-chair. It is really important to mention that priority given to student projects, because we know that there are deadlines for students' projects, capstone projects, and also graduate students' thesis projects. The projects receiving grants from QNRF, also we are in close contact with the research support office, where they always provide us with the deadlines that the QNRF gives for the for submitting approval letters after the after you are awarded the grant. So we advise that once you are awarded the grant, to prepare your application and send it as soon as possible, because if it was greater than minimal risk, this will take time for the full board to be reviewed in a full board meeting. That's why always give yourself time, even if you have a deadline, so we can help you to accommodate this deadline. So these are some tips on how to ensure the completeness of application form. We have the IRB specialist, Ms. Ghadir, prepared for you a read me first document that is available on IRB.net. Usually, for those who are familiar with with applying to IRB, all those comments that you receive as initial screening, it is all available in this document, so you can go through it, see what actually fits your application, and please try to do them before even sending this to us. This will decrease the time that your application spends in the in the initial screening stage. Please fill all the sections relevant to your study in the application form. Sometimes we see some sections that are empty, and this will cost another email to you or another notification to you to fill this section. Read the description mentioned under each question carefully for more information. So the application form that is now available on IRB.net, it has the committee members made a lot of effort to describe exactly what is needed in this section. So as you can see, for example, here under research study design, there is a full description of what the committee member is you to write in this section. So if you take some time to read them, you will also make your application more close to be complete. Submit any document that will be seen or sent to a participant, even the ads, even the social media ads, the information sheet, consent forms, in case of children, the assents form, parent permission, questionnaire, or any other data collection tools, for example, the data collection form for the secondary data or the collection of data. Those documents are very important to be submitted in all languages that are used. Sometimes, for example, in the checklist that you fill, you mentioned that you want to do your research or to collect data in both languages, Arabic and English. But what we see in the submission, only English or only Arabic. This will also cause some delay when we request that please submit all the documents in the languages used. Secure required approvals from other involved sites or institutions. Here also please refer to us when you are not sure whether you need an approval from another institution or not, for collaborative institution. If you are not sure, do not wait until you submit your application. Just call us, give us a call, and try to know whether you need an approval or not. Sometimes our approval has to be issued before the approval of another institution. So this is all depending on the type of the project that you are making. So not in all cases other institutions' approvals are required. So if you are not sure, please contact us. If your application contains biohazardous material use, please apply to QUIBC before applying to QUIRB. QUIBC is also another committee in the Tri-Board Committee. It is also administratively managed through the office, but it has their own procedures, it has their own timeline and their own procedures. So you have to add this time to your timeline. So QUIBC usually takes 1 month to review the application. Put this in mind and please make sure to submit before submitting to QUIRB. Those some general tips on what to do in the for the informed consent form. Please follow all the informed consent form guidelines also available in the application form and in the README first document that is available for you in the forms and templates on IRB-net. Provide all the informed consent in all languages used. Also, what we see, always we see some inconsistent information before application form and the consent form. For example, sometimes in the consent form, you are mentioning that you might, for example, do an observation in the classroom. This is not, for example, mentioned in the application form. Sometimes in the application form, we see that, for example, you need to do an audio recording, but it is not clarified on the consent form. Sometimes also the titles of the title of your project is not consistent in all the documents. So please make sure to spend time to ensure the consistency between the information among all the documents that you are submitting. Sometimes the application can go back for spelling and grammar check and grammar mistakes. So please also do a spelling and grammar check, especially for the informed consent form, because the informed consent form has to be very clear to the participant, and sometimes some spelling grammar might change the whole language or the whole intention of a sentence. What could delay an approval process? Please also pay attention to send application to the correct committee. Sometimes you send your application to the wrong committee, and until we discover this, this will take time, and then you will be guided again to the right committee, and this will take a long time. So especially on IRB-net, this will cause us some also administrative burden if we receive an application to the wrong committee. So please make sure that you are sending your application to the committee in concern. Again, as I said, the delay in responding inquiries either after the initial screening or after the review. So if you are quick in sending us or addressing the inquiries, you will have the chance for your application to go forward even quicker than in the process. Also, please try to avoid using old versions of application material. So now, as you know, we have the IRB Smart form, and also we have a new version of the application form in Arabic, also available in the library in the forms and templates. So please make sure to use the correct version of the application form and the new one. So we advise, please do not use any old form that is saved on your laptop or computer. Again, this is mentioned, the inconsistency of information along the documents. The information requested after review are also not addressed or provided in a timely manner. This will also add up to the delay in the procedure. The last thing I would like to draw your attention to, please, is the collaborative research ethics approval. So the institution, this is mainly related to the collaborative institutions. So if you have collaborators, let's say local institutions or foreign institutions, you have to make sure that those institutions or the collaborators from those institutions has the assurance from MOPH. This is applicable when the institution employees or agents intervene or interact with a human subject for research purposes, and also when the institution or employees or agents obtain individual identifiable private information about human subject for research purposes, and also if the institution receives Qatari funds to conduct human subject research, even where all activities involving human subjects are carried out by subcontractor or collaborator. So for us, when we see that you have collaborators, let's say local, we check for if these local institutions have assurance. If they have assurance, then we won't get back to you. But if we cannot find if those institutions has assurance, we will get back to you and request the assurance number. Some of the institutions here at Qatar, they are not registered at Ministry of Public Health as research institutions, so they cannot get assurance unless they are registered there, and we highly recommend to contact Ministry of Public Health Research Division for that purpose. Let's also now for the foreign institutions. The foreign institutions, part C, most applicable to them. So when the foreign institution that is collaborating with you is receiving Qatari funds, then you have to submit for assurance for those institutions. Okay, so to submit for assurance, since the Research Ethics Office is the focal point with the Ministry of Public Health Research Department, you have to contact us at research.ethics@qu.edu.qa. The required documents is the QU IRB approval letter and the QU IRB approved documents. This means that you have to apply for QU IRB first, and the QU IRB will approve the part that is concerned with you as QU affiliated person and what is going to be done by you in this research. But for any collaborator, especially the foreign ones, if they don't get the assurance of Ministry of Public Health, they cannot any research activity related to this project. So please, once you obtain your QU IRB approval letter and the approval documents, kindly contact us at research.ethics@qu.edu.qa. So we will provide you with an application form that has to be signed by the institutional official of the applying institution, and we will guide you through that process, and we will apply for the assurance on your behalf, since we only have the access to the assurance website. Please also, we would like to remind you to use IRBnet for any upcoming submission. We cannot receive any new submission or renewal or modification unless it is submitted by IRBnet. All other submissions done before 15th of January, we are processing them through the emails, but for any future submission, kindly use IRBnet. IRBnet Smart Form is also very easy to navigate and use. If you are submitting in English, kindly use this Smart Form because it will make your life easier. Also, the IRB training resources is available on the ethical compliance page. We have a instructional demo. We can provide also PDF slides to guide you, and we will have a training session, inshallah, next week that also will be concerned with how to use IRBnet as a researcher. For any questions, please call us on 4403-5307. And thank you very much for listening and attending. If you have any question and answer, we will be answering your questions right now. Thank you very much.
Questions are short and sent.
So should I open my mic or?
Yes, please, Fee.
Is it possible to share the lecture slides?
Okay, inshallah. بس أنا ما بعرف كيف بدي. Okay. Stop sharing this. كيف وقف stop sharing? Okay, تمام. وين ال questions? ما في. Okay, so we have a question from Gulf Studies program. They are requesting if we can talk to the graduate students and share with them the IRB procedures once in a semester. Yes, this is possible. Please, if you have any requests from that kind, kindly also send us an email, and we will arrange a tutorial at your center. Yes, the slides, inshallah, we will also discuss with the speakers and see if we can provide those slides to everyone. Okay, so we cannot see any other question in the question and answer or chat panel. We really thank you so much for your attendance. If you have any question anytime, do not hesitate to contact the ethics office, or if you want to direct your question to any of the committee members, we will be happy to direct or communicate your questions to them. I would like also to thank Dr. Muhammad Amara and Dr. Noura for the amazing, very informative presentations. Thank you very much all for your attendance, and have a great weekend, inshallah.